Hello and welcome to another YouTube cast by myself, Wardy. Something a little bit special for you guys today. While we've been doing these YouTube exclusives, we've obviously been taking replays from other tournaments and just matches that I haven't cast in general. But this is a series that is designed just for you guys. It's the WardiTV YouTube Showdown. It's a show match best of 5 between soO and GuMiho. $100 on the line for the winner of this series. And the winner will take home all 100 of those dollars. And again, just thought this would be a cool little way to give you guys something back for giving me a lot of support on YouTube recently. In the top left-hand side, we have Red Terran player from soO Gaming is GuMiho, opening up with a couple of proxy racks down in the bottom side. And to the bottom right, our blue Zerg player from GuMiho is soO. So best of 5 series, handpicked these players for you guys and figured that it'd be a cool little matchup for us to watch some games that you guys will not be able to see anywhere else. Which means that if you do like the idea, leave a like on the video. If you really like it, subscribe for more. And if you want to see certain players maybe taking part in these little show matches that we might put on in the future for YouTube, maybe once a month or so, depends on how well the YouTube's doing still, then do consider hitting us up with a comment and let us know who you'd like to see play best of 5 against someone else. So TVZ here, best of 5 series, Cyber Forest from map 1, and obviously as you can see so far, GuMiho opening with the proxy-free barracks on the bottom side of Cyber Forest. So a little bit of cheese to get things started as the overlords from soO obviously still making their way over to the top left-hand side and getting themselves into position to scout, although we'll not have too much information just yet. You can see a third racks here going to be finishing shortly as well. As the first Marine is ready, GuMiho is going to start moving forwards. No scouting here from soO. He does not know this is coming. So he's going to be a little bit in the dark and already kind of feels very late on everything, right? Hatchery isn't done as the bunker starts up, so soO still doesn't know about it as the hatchery finishes. And the bunker is already on the way, so soO is in some trouble. 4 Zerglings start up instantly, 2 Queens as well. It's going to be tough though. Usually you would try and put down the Spine Crawler as a way to try and deal with this, but well, that's not happening just yet. There's another couple of Marines starting to come up this ramp. SCV from GuMiho here just chilling out on the low ground. These Marines starting to pick their way through the hatchery, and a couple of Lings from soO just backing away towards the ramp. Marines continuing to fight. A second bunker coming up. Well, I mean, soO can't commit into this just yet. I just don't know how he's going to break this without a bunker, without a Spine Crawler though. These bunkers are going to be way too powerful. I mean, especially if there's 2 of them up. A Spine is usually very good for poking your way through and kind of picking your way over time. Queen gets a few shots on the SCVs. I mean, the fact 2 SCVs are up as well just means a lot of repairability. Plus, there's a third SCV just waiting here as well. This hatchery feels as though it's about to go down. Zerglings are going to start moving forwards. The drone's pulling in from the bottom side. 1 Queen drops already. I mean, this just looks hopeless as the SCVs can't quite get a repair on bunker number 1, but look at the losses. 4 drones down, make that 5. Some Marines obviously still getting out of that bunker alive. And as the numbers wear down, there is just not going to be enough to break down bunker number 2. And GuMiho will take a quick game number 1 in this best of 5 series, starting off our YouTube Showdown. Game number 2 here on Port Alexander. And to the bottom right, our blue Terran player from soO Gaming is GuMiho. Up against the red Zerg in the top left from GuMiho, we've got soO down a map after being proxy free-raxed in game number 1. So, obviously a little bit rushed because of the proxy free-rax, but I just want to say again, I guess you guys are probably just like, well, you stop repeating yourself, but a bit more calmly. This is a set of show matches which I'm thinking of really starting up and investing into, maybe something like once a month to begin with, something to kind of give back to you guys who watch on the YouTube channel. And it is something that we can kind of put some money towards. Just a show match that is only for the YouTube, so you guys can be like, like maybe we can hold a vote on the YouTube and you guys can vote which players you want, or we'll just take ideas from the comments for which series we should set up, and stuff like that. I will say this is something I don't usually do in my YouTube videos, asking for support and stuff, but if this is something you think is really cool and interesting, one of the best ways to support it is the Patreon page. It's in the description down below, patreon.com/WardiTV. It also shows up at the end of the video as well. But it is one of the better ways to support more show matches like this. If you become a patron and you let me know on the Patreon page that you want your money to go towards YouTube-based content, then absolutely that is something I can do for you guys. As tickly cough. Felt as though something was in my throat. Not good. Excuse me. So, yeah, if that's something you guys are interested in, if this is something you guys want to support, that's definitely one of the better ways to do it. But of course, don't feel like you have to or anything along those lines. As far as I'm concerned, Just you guys tuning in is always the best support I can ask for. Just keep liking the videos, interacting with them, commenting, watching, subscribing. You guys know the drill. Let's talk about the series. That's my little sellout time all done and wrapped up. As again, these two are fighting over $100. soO with a hatch gas and pool once again. This time, GuMiho's barracks will be building back at home, and so will not be any sort of proxy play to start us off on this second map. As the first Reaper pops out, a reactor drops down on the barracks as well. And GuMiho just comes up the right-hand side here. Overlord from soO flying overhead. The Reaper from GuMiho going to be passing by and is going to start just wandering around, just checking to see if there's any Zerglings here. He did an SCV scout, so he doesn't know if it's a pool first and there's Lings on the map. So he's just trying to make sure of that before he sends his Reaper across, if he even sends his Reaper across. He might just keep it at home because he isn't sure if soO has those Lings, and if soO does have those Zerglings, it can cause a lot of complications if the Reaper isn't at home to defend. But it feels as though he probably thinks, okay, well, I haven't found the Lings yet, they haven't shown themselves, I feel as though I am safe to move across the map. So GuMiho making an educated decision here to go across to the upper left-hand side. And there's a couple of Hellions starting up from him as well, with a Starport 2 tending to a pretty traditional first few minutes of the TVZ for GuMiho, and for soO as well. Link speed already on the way up here. We can see that Extractor just sitting out on the main base as well, so mining a little bit of gas at the moment. Starport coming up to completion as well. There's the Reaper from GuMiho pulling back a little bit towards the center of the map. A few Zerglings and the Queen just hanging out on the front of the crypt spread here. Another Queen about to pop, and a Liberator from GuMiho going to be coming out over the next few moments. Two more Hellions on the way, by the way. And as we see the Reaper and the two Hellions moving over to the left-hand side, already a few Zerglings just moving up in towards the natural. A little bit of creep spread pushing forwards, a little bit of creep can come out to the top side as well. And we do see Marine also being added in here, so that's sometimes suggests maybe a Hellbat attack if you get a medevac, but with the Liberator, it's unlikely. It's just a Marine for a little bit of anti-air before the tech lab comes down. And it kind of feels like GuMiho's just going to be heading in towards Stim here and in towards a little bit of a bio play. We'll see soO is opting to go in towards a Roach Warren. So, building up a Roach Warren earlier as these Hellions do drive by. That's 2 drones lost already. Make that 4 now as the Reaper Grenade helps out. It should be about it, though. 5 workers killed, not bad at all. Doesn't quite get the number 6 as he gets caught by the Zerglings on the ramp. But yeah, Roach Warren seen by GuMiho. It's not a super aggressively placed Roach Warren, is it? Maybe it was. I guess with the Hellions going down, soO feels he either doesn't need it, slash he just... I feel as though if this was meant to be aggression, it just would have been in the main base to be hidden away, rather than just placed right at the front of the natural, where Hellions are quite liable to just poke forwards and see it anyways, right? Maybe he feels as though with the creep spread it was safe. Anyways, a little bit of an interesting moment or so. I'm currently struggling to find the Liberator. It has just gone down. Well, my apologies, guys. It didn't kill anything, though. I think it was just fighting a Queen or two, and it was being right under my nose. Maybe over here. I heard it fighting, I just didn't actually see it. My bad. Well, 4 more Hellions going to try and run by. You might just start to regret not building that Roach Warren soon, because without Roaches, the Zerglings aren't actually out just yet, and that's another 4 drones lost, another 5. Take that up to 7. These 2 Hellions at the very end going to get just a Zergling or so more. I mean, that's now 12 workers lost throughout this game from soO. It's only 5 minutes in. Very good get damage from GuMiho, putting himself in a very good position so far. As you see, Stimpack about halfway done. These couple of extra racks finishing shortly. That's 8 and 9 drones as this Liberator shows up now and gets a couple of kills. So that's 9 workers killed for GuMiho, and he'll be very happy with that. That's exactly what you want early game in a TVZ. Really exactly what he wants. There's a Spire dropping down at the front from soO. Oh no, Lings are going to start running by, and these SCVs are actually going to be in a little bit of trouble. Oh my god, GuMiho just didn't have a wall-off ready, and suddenly he loses 8 workers, 9 workers, so a perfect response from soO. 1 SCV for every drone that he lost in the last attack. Obviously, he still did lose those 5 initially, but this really does make up from being in a very rough position. I mean, imagine GuMiho has 9 more workers right now and no lost mining time. He's easily on 45 to 50-ish workers. So he's only, what, within 10 drones of soO? It's a good little spot, and soO is delayed in terms of his unit production because he's been heavily building drones. Well, now GuMiho is down like 20 workers, and soO's little bit of greed here is going to pay off because, well, you know, he's been able to drone, and now GuMiho doesn't really have much to counter with, and, well, he doesn't really have to worry about, you know, over-droning too much further because he's already played that catch-up game, and those Lings dealing the damage does injustice. GuMiho kills off this Liberator here on this top side. Sorry, this Overlord here. Got all the units out before they set the Overlord. So that Liberator kills off an Overlord, and now we'll move across the map. That's his third kill of the game after he killed 2 drones on the third base earlier. And soO going into Lingbane Muta. The Spire has now finished. The Mutalisks will be underway very shortly. He doesn't have too much gas just yet, though. Kind of feels like this entire build's a little bit off from soO because of the damage he's been taken. He was maybe looking to go Roaches a little bit earlier as well. And now where are we at? We're at this point where soO is actually going in towards Lingbane Muta, and again, he's hit the Spire without enough gas to really justify the amount of mutas he wants to make. So he's going to wait a little bit here. The Armory just going to be for the 2-2 upgrades of GuMiho as well. That's lined up quite nicely. And there are the first few Mutalisks on the way out right now. 4 of them, and probably 4 more very shortly, just waiting for lava or so. There we go. 8 Mutalisks going to be built here by GuMiho, as we do see Marines and a couple of tanks down to the bottom side. There's a few Lings ready, a few Banes wolfing as well. They do have Bane speed, but if a couple of tanks can target fire correctly, that doesn't necessarily mean this army is going to be able to hold this. This army of soO is going to be able to hold this off. We'll see what the Mutalisks can do as they arrive. For the 4th base of soO already in quite a bit of trouble. Some Lings starting to run forwards here, turned away by the siege tank shot. Moving forwards once again. We're going to see more of these Zerglings on the way up. Spore Crawler does set up now, and we are going to be seeing that Liberator picked off on the top side, but a few drones killed still. At least it does get rid of that harassment. soO is also missing 1-1 upgrades, although fights like this, where he massively overwhelms the army of GuMiho, is absolutely a fight he can take. Mutalisks now flying into the main base, going to get rid of a couple of SCVs already. Actually getting quite a few of these SCVs so far. So a few SCVs going down. Mutalisks now coming up to the top side. A couple more supply depots coming up as part of this Warlock. We still just have to this bottom left side these Marines and tanks gathering up together. +2 melee, +2 carapace. Further upgrades from soO, looking to try and stay matched up with the Terran player, not letting GuMiho get too far ahead of all of this. Mutants starting to pick their way through the supply depots here, stealing a little bit of damage. Marines taking a little bit of damage as well. +1 flyer attack on the way in from soO. Continuing to set this up. The 4 on the way out as well from GuMiho. And so far, again, everything across the board looking pretty good for the moment. As in total, we're about to be up to 5 barracks production. Marines again just pressing forward, picking off a couple of these creep tumors so far. Another creep tumor at the front here as well, going down. These tanks continuing to siege as the mutas. Well, need to be careful. This push from GuMiho is looking a bit scary. He doesn't have an upgrade lead or anything just yet, though, which he might have if he waits a bit longer. Tanks on siege, but soO does not find the opportunity to strike. Obviously, GuMiho has done a good job keeping the creep spread pretty kept back, you know. Usually on Port Alexander, the Zergs don't have much trouble getting the creep to about, you know, where you see it up on this top side or about here. But soO's not really got much as he is going to... I don't know what that was. That was not Mutalisk Micro. That was absolutely anything you could do not to deal damage with the Mutalisks. A little bit of a misplay there by soO with the mutas. Definitely could have done a little bit more as we see the Marines medevacs. But one medevac dies up to the top side. The Mutalisks still looking for a moment to jump on this army. I mean, the Ling and Bane will be looking for something similar too as the mutas. Getting rid of a few of these Marines on the front. I mean, GuMiho is really quite compact as well. I think the biggest threat is an army running in from this left and from the top. Looks as though soO's going to try and come just from one side, though he doesn't set up this flank. Here we go, Lings start flying on in here. The mutas obviously here as well. The 4 doing quite a bit of damage as the Banelings will connect on a lot of these Marines. A few Marines lifting up into that medevac. This 4 lifts as well. And we're going to be seeing the mutas continuing forwards. That's going to be a dead siege tank. This 4 goes down also. Another couple of medevacs to follow. And this is kind of a cleanup, right? I mean, there's a few reinforcements coming in that will help GuMiho to stay alive. But overall, I think soO does just have a little bit too much. He'll have +2/+2 as well now. So his own upgrade's going to be finished here for the next little part of this fight. As we do see 5 Banelings starting to morph in from soO, and a few creep tumors coming down up front as well. The Zerglings of soO continue to gather up towards the 3rd base as a few Marines do stem forwards a little bit towards those Mutalisks. soO just still kind of cruising around the map with this force, looking to see what he can get done. I mean, I feel like he's in a pretty comfortable position at the moment as this command center coming forwards towards, you know, being a 4th base, basically. Marines going to take a little bit of damage there. A couple medevacs pulling back as well. A little bit more Ling Bane on the way up also, just at the front. +2 flyer attack on the way on the Spire. One of these situations like GuMiho, if you can sit back, rebuild, and take a couple good fights, it could be good for him. It's usually the sort of stage of the game where the Zerg typically moves up in towards Hive Tech, but soO just says, no, I'm just going to come and kill you on Lingbane Muta. It's a riskier choice, but I think he's definitely got the numbers to do it. And obviously GuMiho has opportunity to sit back and just chill. Doesn't quite work out right. I mean, if he'd gotten the Planetary Fortress up, this is a more dangerous position for soO to attack into. As it stands, that will be GG, and soO picks up game 2, tying the series 1-1 in our YouTube Showdown. Guys, we're going to take not a quick break at all, because it's YouTube, not the stream. I still do this. I still say those things. We're going to be jumping into game 3 then. Let's see what the map's going to be. So third map now. GuMiho picking up that first game with the cheeky little 3 racks. He's our red Terran top right side from Sidestorm Gaming. And to the bottom left, our blue Zerg player is soO, who ties it up with the Lingbane Muta play. Wasn't looking good with the early drone losses. soO definitely a bit of a shaky early game, but that counter-attack of Zerglings definitely helped him get a step back into the game, and, you know, obviously then you're kind of in the game, right, and he's able to play it out from then. He is able to take some good fights to win it out, and that really is an important moment of the series, I think, that one run-by, because if GuMiho doesn't get hit by that run-by, he's in a tremendous position, and all of a sudden we're talking about a Terran player who's free to do kind of what they want a little bit more so in the game. And then all of a sudden, if he wins game 2, he's up 2-0, and maybe this series is just already too far gone from soO. I mean, how do you regain control from that position? It becomes rather difficult, as we'll see the hatchery first once again from soO. Still no pool first shenanigans. soO is one of these players that will mix it in now and again, but in general, feeling confident here, and typically even against the proxy racks, the hatchery first is okay, it's defendable. Pool first obviously makes your life a lot easier, but hatchery first is just as good as long as you respond correctly. And I really feel like what we saw in game number 1 was not a correct response out of soO. Not building a spine crawler at all. I feel like he just saw it way super duper late. Like, it couldn't have been later. Like, the bunker was building before he saw it. Like, because it's just crazy to see it that late, see no signs of it at all. soO caught off guard there in that first game. And again, I couldn't feel like he just sort of panicked or just sort of felt it was already over. I don't really know. Maybe didn't feel like there was even time to get a spine crawler up. Anyways, it's funny though, because it's not something that GuMiho's like never does, right? It's something GuMiho does quite a lot, I would say. Very regularly. GuMiho is the sort of player who will show up and just say, you know what, I'm going to throw a couple of proxy racks into this series. I remember casting him in the finals of the OSC Championship this year against Solar, and he proxy racks quite a lot. So he is one player to definitely throw those in there in the series, especially in the TVZ. And even in TVP, he's not afraid to proxy a couple of racks here or there, or even in TVT, he doesn't mind the 2 racks Reapers. So he's definitely a man of many proxies. And as we do see the Reaper heading down to the bottom left-hand side here, GuMiho looking to investigate what's going on in the early stages of Automaton, which is going to be revealing not really too much. A few lings already around. It's a lava. It's probably one of the most useless things you can deal damage to. It takes no damage at all from the Reaper. And as the Zerglings get chased for not even one single kill, good pull back by soO, and GuMiho is just not quite in range to take advantage of that. soO has also gotten the 3rd hatchery start, so Snooker drawn around while GuMiho has been elsewhere with the Reaper and now is able to get the hatchery coming up. So soO, nice fast free bases here on Automaton. And GuMiho goes into a very fast free base of his own. No second gas right away means that he is just typically going to end up on a super fast 3rd CC, not much else to spend your minerals on. Because there'll be generally then a few minerals from a few Hellions from this point onwards, using up all that mineral excess. And of course, build some Hellions. It's a pretty traditional setup. You go into 4 to 6, get a starport up, maybe you build a Viking. This is really more of a defensive build than a harassment-based build, right? So just looking generally going towards, I mean, you don't have a lot of gas very quick, so something like a Viking is still affordable. As you see the tech lab on the barracks, so maybe a stim pack coming in here for GuMiho in the next few moments. So if he goes stim pack, or maybe he does just go Banshee and it's just going to be a safety Banshee. That's also one way of doing this. So that starport is going to jump in the tech lab. There we go. So it is going to be a Banshee on the way up. Doesn't have the... Oh, it does have the gas for cloak as well. Wow, I'm just absolutely nowhere. And it's not even a Banshee, it's a Liberator. Oh my god. How many things can I say more wrong in a row? Okay, well, Hellion Liberator going to be the opening. Can we just ignore that? Can we just pretend that didn't happen? Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Overlord Guts taken down as we see another couple of Hellions popping out. Now, obviously, soO and GuMiho are 2 players who actually have quite a bit of history with each other. It actually became a real rivalry between the 2 of them for a little while, especially when in that sort of period where GuMiho took down soO in the GSL finals. And I really feel back then GuMiho's mech play was really a style that soO didn't really have much of a answer to, and it was something that soO definitely struggled against. But just in general, these are two players who do not shy away from the online competition, and so quite frequently you'll see them as players who meet up against each other in Alimo League finals, in Alimo League weeklies. In fact, these guys have played quite a lot against each other in general. In total, 32 series. soO having the slight disadvantage. So GuMiho definitely the slight advantage overall. As you do see Hellions heading down towards the third base here. Most recently, they played in GSL Code S. Of course, that was barely a week or so ago, and that was a 2-0 victory from soO. So soO getting the upper hand there, and that was actually the first time they played in 2019. As you do see, the Hellions have morphed into Hellbats. Armory came up while I was yabbering on. I'm going to turn this into a little bit of Hellbat pressure. Some Roaches on the way up. Let's see how soO can defend this. I mean, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. It's only 6 Hellbats. It's fairly late for Hellbats as well, I feel, because it was a 1-gas opener. So it feels like soO shouldn't have too much issue. 4 drones lost, but there's no way he's going to get away with killing Queens or anything here, right? As you can see, those Hellions running away. They want to morph back into Hellions and really just get out of here. But the Roaches chasing does make that a bit more scary. And I think now is the time to do it if you want to do it. Hellbat's just still waddling. I guess the Roaches stopped for a moment. Ling's trying to counterattack, but they are turned away by more Hellions at the front. It's a lot of Hellions, by the way. Considering that this is going to be bio with the Stimpak on the way up, it's a lot of Hellions that's been made. And you can already see soO building an infestation pit. I kind of feel like soO's looking at this game like, well, actually, I kind of don't know what you're doing. Like, I think it's maybe mech, and I'm trying to get fast. I mean, is this, did Swarm Host this fast work against mech? Hellion's going to dive by, and is soO ready? Well, the Roach has got a couple of shots off so far. There go 4 drones. Hellion's going to keep on streaming through. And already a good few Hellions going down. Roach is going to continue chasing. Queen's going to be able to pick off that Hellion as well. So 5 drones killed in total, but 11 more on the way. And there's the super fast Hive. Oh my gosh. soO is just going to rush out Vipers really quickly here. Now, that leaves him to be a bit vulnerable to certain attacks, but I feel with how GuMiho has opened, soO is not going to be vulnerable to anything, because GuMiho has lost a few Hellions already. He has lost his... Well, he just lost a ton of Hellions, right? This Hellbat attack didn't do much. He ran those Hellions around the left side. They went down. And so GuMiho hasn't been building... Like, if these racks were sooner and he already had, like, a good amount of Marines with Stim finish rather than 3, then probably, yes, soO is in some trouble building up into this faster Hive, Hydra Den, on barely any units. But because of what soO's killed, he can totally get away with this. And for the moment, he is totally getting away with it because GuMiho is not applying any pressure, just taking this forward third base, so taking the forward base rather than this base set back. And the 4th command center already starting as well, as soO gets his own 4th base up, his own 3rd. Already has been running for a little while, of course, obviously. As a Zerg player, you generally get up to those 3 bases very quickly in the majority of matchups. The Spore Crawler will unburrow and relocate off over to the right side, with +1 missiles and +1 carapace on the way up here from soO. Continuing along, and some creep spread from soO continue to push out toward the center of the map. A little bit of creep going to the upper left, a little bit of creep coming out towards the front, into the middle. There are the 2 Vipers on the way from soO now. As again, group spies just about halfway done. Command center coming up toward completion as well. So command center continuing along. He has the Overseer from soO just sitting outside of this natural expansion as well. Single Marine from GuMiho going to start heading forwards, and we are just going to be seeing these Hellbats taking their way through these rocks on the gold base. Obviously, GuMiho, with this forward base, you can take the gold minerals, not the gas, quite quickly, so you can get a little bit of an income boost on a very fast 4th base for a Terran player. I mean, an 8-minute 4th, it is real quick, so it's all about economy from both of these guys, although soO also has that very good tech to go along with this. And Hive has been finished for a while. The first 2 Vipers are already coming up, and this is going to be extremely useful in every single, I mean, in literally like every single fight, right? Blinding Clouds, Abducts. Gonna be, I mean, Blinding Clouds and the tanks especially are going to be very good to back up this Roach Hydra force. soO, of course, by the way, just in general, I don't know if he even knows if it's, I guess he sees the engineering bait and sees these racks, so he does know it's bio. But I feel like he may not have known it was bio for a while, because if you think about what he saw overall, he saw a lot of Hellions. And when you build that many Hellions, it's not typically meant to be bio because the Hellion production really slows down the barracks count. And that's why then GuMiho wasn't able to apply any pressure since then. And that's why the creep spread is really, on such a large map for it to be halfway through into the center, it's very good creep spread. And that's just because GuMiho hasn't had those Marines early enough to apply pressure because of other choices that he made earlier on in the series of the game. Quite a few Marines going down here before the lift up into the medevacs and the evacuation. As GuMiho sitting man in this gold base, he'll be fairly content with this. Obviously, when he wants a 5th, it'll actually come quite easily just to take it up to the top side. The only real negative to that gold base is, of course, going to be as that's a nice abduct. The only real negative is the fact he doesn't get the gases right here. But with bio, you're not really too worried about gas usually. The 7th and 8th gas usually just means that you're mining too much gas more than anything else. It does become important if you start building into Ghost Liberator. But this is not going to be Ghost Liberator for a little while. And even when it is, once it becomes Ghost Lib, you take this base still very easily because it's a very easy base to establish. So this is a base which is really just powering up GuMiho's mid-game here with the bio. And it really just gives him chances to be stronger and trade better with more army, to put him in a better spot going into the later game. And then, you know, obviously then you worry about getting those extra gases and the extra bases up. 5 drones going down to this Liberator harassment as Vipers are consuming up on this hive. So back full of energy once again. GuMiho moving very far forward with his tanks, very far set back, I feel. And it feels like soO might want to try and capitalize on this. For a moment, it looks as though he's going to insert himself between the tank army and the bio army, but decides to pull back. There's a Liberator on the bottom side of the map as well. soO loses a couple of drones. Spore Crawler relocates instantly. The Hydras come in to clean it up before the Spore can do anything, though. And that is another dead Liberator. Good response by soO, only a couple of drones being lost, but it is giving GuMiho the freedom to move around the map. soO is preoccupied dealing with those little bits of harassment, and so GuMiho cleans up a lot of the creep spread in the very dead center. And obviously that is a pretty big deal here, as we're going to be seeing that bio. Well, a little bit of it's actually splitting away to the top left, so looking to loop around, looking to get rid of some of the creep spread over here as well. He's not going to find a base here, which I think GuMiho was kind of expecting with the way he was moving his army. So no base there. soO is taking the 5th down to the bottom side, where there's also not really much creep to fend in it. There is the Ghost Academy. There's the 2 extra Star Forces. GuMiho gets up to that 5th base and gets access to gases number 7 and 8. 2 Queens going down here. This hatchery will fall without a cancel as well, so a good couple of fights from GuMiho. You see a couple of Corruptors on the way out, though. Brood Lords are going to be something that comes into play here very shortly. Reyes Fire is finished and has been for a little while. So soO bringing Brood Lords into play. I mean, he's survived until this stage, as I mean, that should just be an abduct, right? Yoink it into the army just enough you can drop off. What's the point in parasitic bombing if the units still get out in the main, right? Abduct a much better choice. Raven on the way up here. Yeah, but I was just saying, like, there's going to be this time where I feel like these Brood Lords are going to show up, and GuMiho's going to be a bit like, huh, what? How did you get Broods? And it's going to be pretty nice, I think, as we're going to see those tanks are very clumped up. The Vipers are not here, though. They're just a little too far away, and so soO takes a big volley of siege tank fire before backing up. Now we're going to see a blind cloud right on top of the bio, so the bio's going to come and cuddle the Roach Hydra. I don't like this at all for GuMiho. I mean, the tanks are very late to rejoin this fight. Now the Brood Lords show up as well. I think soO is very happy with this, because look how rich soO is as well, by the way. 5k, 1.5k in the bank. Okay, it's not a lot of gas, but he's got minerals to spare, and he remaxes instantly, while GuMiho does not have a bank to rebuild on. And, well, now soO is actually pressing forwards with these Brood Lords overhead. It's going to be a good pushing force, pushing in towards the upper right-hand side of the map. soO pushing in toward the upper right here, as a few Roaches and Hydras already leading the charge forwards. The gold minerals being mined. The Sensor Tower falls. I actually don't know what GuMiho does to hold this off. He's got no real anti-air. A couple of Vikings on the way out, but I mean, with the Hydras underneath, a couple of Vipers to support, I'm not sure if this is realistically going to be enough to shut it down. GuMiho going to go for a counter drop, knowing that this is a slow-moving army of soO. How much damage is he really going to deal in the time it takes soO to just clean up multiple bases here, essentially? Dropping off into the main base. Queen's already, we're doing a decent job targeting the medevac. Spore Crawler will burrow, and this little drop will be doing a good job, but I mean, GuMiho already loses the gold base, the 3rd base, and pressing forwards. I mean, the bio army looks okay, but then you realize, how's it ever going to get on top of the Brood Lords? It really just doesn't. And okay, again, this army may be able to do something as an anti-armor missile drops. I think it's this fight that we really need to be watching here. A blinding cloud comes down. You can see the Marines and Marauders are just flooding through into nothingness, really achieving very little. I mean, a couple of Vikings do get some shots off from the Broods, let's be fair, but then the Hydras underneath start to target them down. The Brood Lords are going to be completely safe. Actually, the Vikings on the back doing quite a little bit more damage. Maybe soO could pay more attention to it. The attack on the other side, it's still 10 drones, but again, it's not really anything compared to what, you know, the damage that GuMiho is taking. And soO's reinforcements are going to overrun, and so soO will take the lead 2-1 in this best of 5. soO looking very good here, and up in the series with one more to go to take. We go into Kairos Junction. As map number 4 to the top left-hand side, the Blue Zerg up in the series after being down 0-1. He's won 2 in a row from GuMiho Esports. It's soO. And to the bottom right-hand side, our Red Terran player from Storm Gaming, we have got GuMiho. Game 4 of this best of 5 in the YouTube Showdown right here. Hopefully you guys enjoying it. Again, something a little bit different. Again, I've never produced content purely for YouTube before, in the sense that I've never gotten the players to come and play just for YouTube. So this really is something a little bit different. So, again, hope you guys appreciate it. Again, if you like it, hit that like button. That's all I can really ask for. Interactions on the video, comments, subscribing to the channel. I have a dream for, by the end of this year, hitting the 10,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. I think that'd be really cool if I could hit 10,000 subs at the end of the year. Whether that's possible, I'm not 100% sure. But we're on track to not quite hit 10,000, but if the YouTube picks up a bit more, it is very possible. So we'll see. We shall see. Much appreciated all you guys who are continuing to watch, though, and I know a lot of you guys have been really enjoying these YouTube casts specifically. Obviously, it's a bit of a different vibe. I can fully focus on the games, don't have to worry about player problems or stuff happening with the stream. I just sit down, look at some StarCraft 2 and tell you guys what's happening in it. It's a pretty good deal if you ask me. Reaper on the way out here from GuMiho, as we do see an SCV from GuMiho dropping down a command center in the natural expansion. A couple of overlords from soO coming in from the upper left hand side down to the bottom right. And you do see GuMiho's SCV just going to come forwards, the factory going to drop down in the front. So factory dropping on down here, a couple of lings, a couple of queens being produced at the moment, and we do see GuMiho going to be pressing across to the upper left hand side. Going to have a little bit of a look around, poke around. We've seen this all before, of course. We kind of know generally how this tends to go. Pretty similar setup to before. Obviously, the big difference here is GuMiho already on double gas, meaning he's not going to go for a super fast third CC like what we saw in the third map of this series. Of course, GuMiho is always very well known for his mech play as well. It's something that we could potentially see if he feels like he needs to change it up 2 games in a row where bio styles have not won out the game. And he's gone up against 2 very different styles of soO as well. Lingbane Meter in game 1 and then a Roach Hybrid Viper style in game number 2, or games 3 and games 4. No, games 2 and games 3, got there in the end. Obviously game 1 that proxy racks. So 2 different games from soO as well, and that's actually very cool to see. And we do see the Reaper just going to be picking its way through this hatchery. And I'm just going to have to, one sec, edit this out, guys. Someone at the... Okay, so back from a quick pause for myself. Obviously, you guys, the magic of editing, you'll never even know it happened apart from the fact I told you. So, obviously, just getting set up into this game. An armory already dropping down from GuMiho. So, we talked about the Hellbats in the last game being kind of slow. And that's definitely going to be a complete turnaround in this game. This armory already halfway done. I mean, Hellbats can attack as soon as 4 minutes here, even earlier. These are some of the faster Hellbats you can actually get in the world of StarCraft 2. He even built a second Reaper, so this is really aggressive out of GuMiho, putting a lot of pressure on the third base. soO has nothing but spawning pools, so you can't build any roaches against this, so it's just lings and queens. For now, it will do the job, and the queens will survive, but now the Hellbats have morphed in. And the 2 Reapers, I mean, those grenades can be so frustrating to deal with as well. If they hit well on the queens, it can distract them, bop them around, and really just cause a little bit of issue. So queens pulling up the ramp. I mean, the thing is, there is only 4 Hellbats, right? So if there's enough queens, realistically, that was a good grenade. Realistically, you can target this down. You see 2 more Hellions showing up, and another Reaper. A lot of Reaper production here out of GuMiho. Ling's counterattack, but the wall is completed. I don't think soO will be able to break through that wall off, but he might be able to catch some Hellions. He doesn't really control the Lings force around, though. And GuMiho heads back home with his Hellbats, which are now more back into Hellions. And all said and done, GuMiho didn't really deal all that much damage. So all said and done, GuMiho didn't deal that much damage. You see a few more Roaches on the way up here from soO. We're going to see a few more Overlords on the way out. And a couple more Hellions continue to come on in as well. Cloak starts up on the starport. Command Center starting, so getting up into 3 bases. And we get this ready to go. Banshee on the way up as well. So you see GuMiho going in towards the cloak, the Banshee, the third hat, command center, And soO just getting the roaches up in preparation to deal with this kind of Hellion Reaper force. And the Reapers do add that little bit of something to this, because they kind of tank for the Hellions. And of course, Reapers backing away can then regenerate. So it's kind of damage dealt from these queens that then doesn't really go anywhere because the regeneration happens. Obviously, he kills a couple of Reapers here, so this wasn't perfect from GuMiho. It's a nice way to just tank a little bit of a few of the shots here and there. More lings and more roaches being made. soO is still only on 36 drones, by the way, so the more that GuMiho applies this pressure, and the more that GuMiho is unable to really the more that soO is unable to really do anything other than make units. I mean, this is going to put soO kind of far behind unless he hits a big counterattack. I mean, he does have a lot of the roaches across the map. Ravager's morphed in, but then the Banshee is here. So soO is really trying to go for something right now. He's actually target firing down the reactor with the roaches. Throws files down the supply depot. So he does have access into the base. Actually, GuMiho hits a supply block. Second Banshee is on the way up, but he is going to get soO some SCV kills here. So this is what he needed. Zergling's trying to stream across the map, but Hellions did a pretty good job of stopping them from coming across in too high a number. A couple more Hellions going down. These Hellbats going to start dropping as well. 11 SCVs already killed. It's going to get more dangerous with these extra lings showing up. But the T-Po's raised and everything's on the high ground. And without any Ravagers, it's going to be difficult, if not just impossible, to actually break through that wall off. So while GuMiho isn't necessarily mining brilliantly, he is able to keep the SCVs alive from this point. Although it will take a little while still to clean up these Zerglings. More Hellions on the way out. Now, soO's done a lot of damage here. This counterattack, this continuous Roachling production has definitely worked out for him. SCV's on the way back down to the low ground. The Hellions coming down here as well. The armory is super low. Lings still have it surrounded. The SCVs can't touch it to repair. And the armory falls. And that's just another little bit of an issue, unfortunately, here for GuMiho. Something that he'll once again probably have to replace. Armory starting up in the main base. Going to be seen that just being replaced, so you can go straight back into the upgrade. He was going for the plating, which means he probably wanted to play kind of like Cyclone Hellion. Plating benefits those units more because you rely on the damage of the lock-on, which isn't granted bonus damage by attack upgrades. So generically, that plating upgrade means Cyclone Hellion, but now he's lost it. Maybe he'll decide to change it up a little bit. He is making quite a lot of Banshees here. Hyperflight Rotors even being invested into, so he looks to continue making Banshees. 4 drones on the counterattack, make that 5. As these Banshees outside of the natural and third base are definitely causing some complications, making life a little bit difficult for soO, but at the end of the day, soO is still ahead by 10 workers and is droning up massively right now. It feels as though he's definitely got enough units to stay safe. Even building up a Dropper Lord here. With Pneumatized Carapace coming in, I'm intrigued to see what goes in. Is it going to be Queens? It looks like it will be Queens, but I'm not 100% certain how well these Queens are going to do. I mean, is this just going to be another like Ling Roach attack, like another all-in from soO? Bringing the Queens across the map to deal with the Banshees. The problem is, because GuMiho has kept building Banshees, it does make this a bit more of a problem compared to what you might usually expect of soO, which is like GuMiho just like switching into like regular mech or so. What has soO even seen in this game? He hasn't even got confirmation that it's completely going to be mech. I guess he probably does roughly know for the amount of Hellions he saw. As those Queens dealing some damage. It's got all-in from soO. He's getting 1-1 upgrades as well. It might even just be a mechanism to try and spread some more creep, although the Roaches and Ravagers moving across the map obviously suggests something a little bit more than that. Banshees here found again. soO just going to continue down to the bottom right. I feel like there's enough here from GuMiho to defend. There's multiple siege tanks. soO drops a Spire behind it, so actually going to switch up in towards Middle-East here most likely. Obviously, it's way too early to get a Spire to think about Baruch Lords or anything, but Mutas could be a very good way of dealing with the Banshees, of course. And especially when you put so much investment into the Banshees. I feel like if the Mutas just come out, you build 8 Mutas and they kill all the Banshees, I feel like that alone is almost worthwhile investment, because they're probably going to get some SCVs on top of that, right? As you can see, soO here continuing to deny at the third base from coming up. Banshees will counterattack. Spire's only halfway done, so the Mutas are not going to be out here just yet. Goes down, a couple more drones getting picked away at. A couple of SCVs have dropped as well. Hellion's going to try and run by into the third base as well. So they're going to come straight up again. More drones dropping. There's 7, 8, 9 workers killed. Well, that's a good little 1-2 punch from GuMiho. He's also going to be able to grab a Queen, so these Banshees are really finding damage at the moment. Now flying on top of the army, going to get themselves a Ravager, make that 2, I think, because they'll be able to line up another shot. And these Speed Banshees are just all over the place as soO. But now he's got the money to make the Mutalists, he's got the Spire. It is time to make them, because, let's face it, those Banshees are causing so much issue for him He 100% needs to find a way to turn those around. As you see, a couple fours in production already, though. And so GuMiho looks as though he's already going to be well prepared for the eventuality of potential Mutalisks. It's something you've got to be careful of, because you absolutely cannot be caught off guard. If you don't have any anti-air and the Mutas show up, well, what on earth are you going to do? It's not going to be pretty. It's really not going to be pretty. 10 Mutalisks popping out here as Roaches, Ravagers pressing down to the bottom side. We do have these Queens in the Overlord still. No Vikings or anything to try and push those down. The Mutas start to show up, but I feel like this is too well defended a position. The Mutas fly into the siege tanks, but a couple of fours show up, and so realistically, not a lot you can do here right away. Maybe the best target, a refinery or so, pick away at this, and actually does start to go onto that right away. That's a couple of SCV kills already, but will again turn away. A little bit too afraid of the fours, and you can't blame him. Fours are very, very dangerous units to those Mutalisks, and so does just have to hang back. Infestation Pit dropping down in the main base. The Muta's going to go overhead on the Roaches and the Ravagers. And Queen's going to drop down a bunch of creep spread down on the bottom side, as the Mutas are going to head on over to the right-hand side here and just set themselves up to come in from a bit of a different direction once again. You see the Hellions taking some damage, flying in right now. Just going to be seeing the missile turrets taking a lot of damage, actually. Is really dropping down quickly. It's 11 SCVs, oh my god. These Mutas just diving into missile turrets is incredible. For 14 workers, I mean, I guess a surprising amount. A lot of them did die, 4 of them, but I feel like there should have been like 6, 7 dead Mutalisks. Now that goes up a little bit more as he flies 3 or 4 shot or so. A couple more Mutas going down. soO has so much money to spend. What is he going to spend it on? Okay, well, there's the answer. The Swarm Hosts in production. Well, now he's forcing 4s. Obviously, 4s aren't exactly brilliant against Swarm Hosts, right? Tanks, splash damage, Hellions, those sort of things look great against Swarm Hosts. 4s, they just get surrounded and they just kind of die to those Locusts. So this isn't looking pretty for GuMiho. It feels like soO's kind of had control of this game throughout, with some kind of minor blips here and there where he's lost a few drones, and because of that still even isn't now set up on a really healthy drone count of like 70 plus. Obviously with Swarm Host you get away with a bit of a lower drone count because you start trading so effectively with Locusts that don't cost you anything to reproduce again and again. So you can get away with, like, again, I mean 65 workers isn't bad, but it definitely could be a little bit interesting as you do see Roaches and Ravagers gathering together. Yeah, Swarm Hosts in general just don't need the kind of... 65 workers isn't bad, but you definitely don't need the, you know... It's definitely not like the 70 or 80 drones that the Zerg usually wants. I got there in the end. I really just couldn't get that out of my mouth, could I? Yay. So I'm stumbling over my words. +1 vehicle weapons finishes, +2 vehicle plating finishing shortly. Locust already flying over this little bit of a jump and looking to drop down on a couple of 4s. Good catch on 4, number 1. Roaches and Ravagers keep pressing through. A couple of siege tanks going down very quickly. And this forward base already in a lot of trouble. Banshees up in the sky going to be one of the major things to help out. I tell you what, the Mutas are going down, so the way to deal with those Banshees is being taken away from soO. Starts to build some Hydras though, as the Banshees at the moment will try and push in towards those Roaches and Ravagers. A couple of Mutas turning around, gets one of the kills. A Spore Crawler here will get some damage done as well. The Mutas turning back once more. The 4s obviously will just disintegrate those Mutalisks as soon as they connect though. 1 Muta down, and now it's only 1 Mutalist left. Swarm Host having to pull back away to the left side. soO is maxed out though, and GuMiho feels like he's pushing with barely anything. 3 4s, 2 tanks. As soon as a wave of Locust comes up here, this is going to be absolutely deadly. Plus the fact there's Hydras now, albeit without upgrades, which can deal with the Banshees. This is not looking good at all for GuMiho as soO maxed out, looking for the next fight. GuMiho did get his 4th base kept alive at least, so he can replace that now. Already mining off of that, although no gases on the base means that he's kind of missing one of the main things you want to 4th base for as a mech player. Here we go, the Locusts are going to lead the charge forwards. The Roaches moving through. The Hydras are slow, but they're still good if they can get on top of the army. And already the Banshees going down. I mean, that's all the Hydras really need to do here, as now the tanks are pulling back up this ramp, but there is way too much from soO. GG is called out of GuMiho, and soO is going to take down the YouTube Showdown. 3-1 against GuMiho, winning himself that $100. GG's and well played. soO, 3-1 over GuMiho here. A good series, a good matchup, and very well played by soO. Well, that wraps up our first ever YouTube Showdown. Let me know what you thought in the chat. Would you like to see more of these? Should I organize more between some players? Is there anyone you'd like to see playing in them? If you enjoyed the cast, then leave a like and don't forget to subscribe for more. Next week or so, we're going to have WCS uploads, including matches from Serral. as well as some other casts from WSG replays and so on. It's going to be a fun week on the YouTube channel, so I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.